Okay, welcome to Hellblade. I've played this game quite a few times. Sorry, I just turned down the volume a little bit. Played the game quite a few times. I find myself always coming back to this game. It's a really, really good, well-made game that never really got the recognition that it deserved. A lot of reviews on it were stating that it was like really bad, but it all pertains on the player that's playing it and what they experience through it, what they feel through it. But for my experience through this game, I've played it on every difficulty. I love playing it on hard because it just really adds more to the excitement. Even though the regular story mode, which is auto, it still adds that same effect. And with this game, it's like I'm a big fan of Ninja Theory, and some of their games are just so spot on and so amazing to play. But sometimes, some of their games, they get really bad actors voicing some of the characters, and, I guess Ninja Gaiden, Razor's Edge is a really good example of bad acting in the game. Even though the female actress is the voice of Lightning from Final Fantasy, which doesn't make sense because she acted in that absolutely fantastic. But, like I said, certain games are good, and certain games are not that great. But Ninja Gaiden is a fantastic game. And, again, with Hellblade, great actors, portrayed the game very well. Great storytelling, great action, and, every fight, every battle within this game sort of makes you feel like you're really a part of it. And that's what I really appreciate about this game, and what I really like, and what keeps drawing me back to this game. So, what I'll do is I'm going to make sure it's on the hard. Okay, so I'm going to let the intro play out because the intro is really long. And then after the intro's done, I'll sort of comment on some things, and I'll probably showcase the first two bosses in the game. Just because they're really fun to play against. And that's another thing, like, this game it's just so fun, and the experience that you go through with this character is just so immense that, I find it to be one of my favorite games, that I own, and that I like to play.
Hello. Who are you? Doesn't matter. Welcome. You're safe with me. I'll be right here, nice and close, so I can speak without alerting the others. Story has already come to an end, but now it begins anew.
What's happening? It's breathing. It's breathing. He knows she's getting closer. He can feel her coming closer. She's getting closer.
This is a journey deep into darkness. There will be no more stories after this one.
What is she doing? Why is she doing this? They're watching. Why doesn't she know coming? She's doing this for him. She wants to rescue him.
never told you of the others. You hear them too, right? They've been around ever since the tragedy. That's not quite true. Some are old. Some are new. They've changed. I think the darkness changed them, just like it changed her.
Can you see them?
Why isn't she looking?
Why aren't you looking so high?
Look. Up ahead. You see it too?
You promised you could.
Yes. It is real after all. She's finally arrived in the land of mist and fog. The place the Northmen call Hell.
Turn back. Go back. Go back. It's not safe. Go back. Go back. Go back. It's not safe.
It's them. They're here.
It's
Look around and you will see them. The drowned, the sick, the slain. Here they lie, rotting in the fields and rivers of hell. But the dead don't always lie still here. This is not a place of rest.
They're going to do that to you. Can you see them? Can you see them? They're going to do that to you. They're watching. Stop. Can you feel them watching?
They're watching her.
You're so close to the darkness. Go back. Can you feel it?
What is she thinking? I can tell you. She's afraid. Wouldn't you be? You'd think she would get used to it by now after so many years. But the darkness, it just builds onto itself, growing stronger, towering over her. You might try and ignore it, turn away. But it's always there, just out of sight, where you're most vulnerable. It's like it knows that just enough light is all you need to see its suffocating power.
They can feel it.
You might think she's brave to go on this journey on her own. But it isn't bravery that drives her. Bravery only means something to those afraid of death. Then it was fear, runs far, far deeper. What is she looking at? What is she leaving behind? I know what she's thinking. I hear her thoughts. It's not too late to get into the boat and go back. No one will judge her. No one will ever know. Oh, she heard us. There's no going back. pushes away a world that conspired to cause so much suffering. There's nothing to go back to, and worse to look forward to. Why don't you join us? Maybe you too have a part to play in this story.
Alright, so that was the intro. It's a pretty long intro, but it explains a lot for your character. You're delving into a world that you are unfamiliar with. You don't really know what to expect. You're embarked on this quest to save somebody that you love, and you're trying to free them from whatever it is that there's been a lot of talk that, she's suffering from mental illness. But when you think about it, what is mental illness in this aspect? It could be many things. It could be depression, could be loss, could be finding out where you are in this world, but at the beginning of it, you don't really know. And that's one of the good things that I like about this game, is that it keeps you wondering, it keeps you guessing, and the further you proceed with this character through the game, you start to really get a good understanding of what she's really about. Now, I've had people comment on this asking me, oh, is this like Dark Souls? Does it have any kind of aspects of Dark Souls? It kind of looks like Dark Souls. This has no comparison towards Dark Souls. Dark Souls is its own game, and this too is its own game. This has more of a Viking feel, or a Northlander type of feel to the game. Judging by the way that she's dressed, she kind of looks like, almost like a savage, but at the same time, the way that she is, she's a warrior. So back in those times of Vikings and everything, they were dressed like this. And whereas things as like Dark Souls, that's completely different. Not only in just the way they're dressed, but also the way that the game is. It's completely different. And this has absolutely no comparison towards what Dark Souls is. It's its own thing, its own creation. This deals with more of an individual characteristic towards the game, and Ninja Theory did it very well, portraying every aspect within this game, within the character, and everything that she has to go through. So you got to keep those things in mind, and when you understand everything that you're seeing here for right now, I'm not going to spoil it, but for me, that because I've played this so much, I understand the game, I know the game, I know what the character goes through, and I know what all of this is all about. But as a new person that's just coming to this game, you won't understand any of this. And I think they did that very well to make you have a stronger connection towards this character.
Focus. Look closer. Look. Use your eyes. She's looking closer. She needs to look closer.
Now that thing that you just saw over there, that is a lore stone, And this gives you more insight, more history within the game, within your character, certain stories. So each of these little glyphs is a lore stone. And the more you find of those, the more it explains on the story and, you know, what is happening within this surrounding area.
Was right. What was it he said? The river of knives across which lies the halls of hell. The place they call Helheim.
He's lost. Where are you?
There's no doubt about it. The source of the darkness is in Helheim. And the goddess Hela holds his soul there. My dear beloved, Diliad.
So another thing too about this game is it's absolutely visually stunning. Graphic-wise, the way the character still looks, even though it transitions from movie or cinematics back into the game, which is another thing that's really, really well done within the game. And how everything just looks, it just looks really real.
He's already dead. She can save him. There's nothing she can do. She's going to save him. She's not going to save him.
So I think that's another thing that, you know, most people will say, like, yeah, it's visually stunning, but
I forget its name.
the question is, do you really appreciate it? And seeing stuff like this,
Just remember that only the dead may cross it. That part wasn't so easy to forget. The old fool said there was a hidden path up to it. Let's see, shall we?
you know, you really begin to appreciate the game even more because of the quality of the game. Yes, the game was very low budget, but that's another thing that you gotta see. Like, a low budget game, but when you look at this, it's really amazing for how much it was actually. When you see that you can really appreciate about this game is it's almost as if they did it for the fans, and they wanted to give back to the fans of Ninja Theory and produce a quality game with almost surreal realism, which is greatly, you know, this would be considered overpriced compared to some prices of other games. And what they've accomplished from what they were actually selling this game for compared to the product that you got. And I mean, that's really great. Everything in this, the way it looks, the graphics, the gameplay, the voice actors, the stuff that you hear, the sounds, everything in it just makes you really feel very immersed within the game. And a lot of games I find don't really add that kind of detail, which is like important in a game, because the main thing you want to go for is you want to make sure whoever's playing the game is fully immersed in the game and connected to the characters that they play. So I think that's another thing that they've done really, really well with this game. And that's probably why I love this game so much. Like, I can play this game and not get bored of it. I can always have fun playing over the same thing. And because of the way that it just immerses you into the game, it's like it has something that just grabs you back in, and you just want to keep playing it. And I find in most games they don't really include any of that, which is a shame, because there's a lot of good games that have
She can't go back now. No, this is it. The hidden path.
that have actually good qualities, but as a player or as a gamer, you find yourself getting bored because it's just nothing in there to actually grab your attention, to keep you well immersed into the game. And that's, to me, is essential, and I can appreciate that as a gamer. Designing something like this, which grabs you back in, even if you've beaten it, it just, you could always come back to it and play it and still have the same amount of fun as you would, say, any other games, but it doesn't have that drive like this game includes or produces.
He's going to hurt you.
It's dangerous.
Don't kill me. I'm not one of them. I was just hiding. I find I live longer that way. Let the bastards catch me again. Never! Wait. Who are you?
Just a memory.
Druth? Is that you?
From my tales of the Northmen, they call me Druth. A liar.
He's
An old fool. Druth is my truth.
It's good to see you again. You kept your vow.
Guide you in this life and the next. I will tell you my stories of hell, if I may walk with you.
Tell me your stories again, old friend. I'm listening.
The runes seal the gates to hell. Focus your inner eye, and you too will see what's hidden in plain sight.
Use your eyes.
Okay, so that right there is a really perfect example of how well the transition from actual gameplay to cinematics was brought in. Just seeing that in certain games, they would actually transition to a cinematic, but have a better, higher quality for the visuals. And then when it went back into gameplay, the quality of the visuals for the gameplay would actually, diminish a little bit. But seeing how this is and how it's evolved, the transition from gameplay to cinematic to gameplay was done really, really well. And that's another thing that I find that you don't really get in a lot of games. A lot of game companies actually don't really include that in. And that's another thing as a gamer, when you're playing games like this and you see that, it's you just know that you have a really, really high quality game.
I can see one.
Hold it in your mind's eye. Find one like it to open the gate. It's near. Look towards the gate, and the gate will open.
Now, with that glyph, that's another thing that they've also done really well, is how well they've hidden certain things like that and included in the background for the player to sort of almost try to be like a bit of a detective in finding these images, even though they provide hints. When I came up to this, you saw a lot of it floating, so it provides the player hints so that you're not going to be lost within this in finding that. But same thing, like just the way that it's camouflaged in the background also adds another great effect towards the game.
The gate is open. Go through the gate.
Go through it.
It's dangerous. It worked. What's behind the gate?
I'll take you.
It's not safe.
I spent 6 years enslaved in hell, but I watched the Northmen, learnt their ways.
I know you did.
You listened when everyone else laughed. My people paid a heavy price. Carry my stories with you, and together we will make the Northmen feel our fury.
Now, another thing too is when you're playing this game, your character
Alice joins us. She once tried to make them go away. Pretend they weren't real. But what good is that? When we are always here.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't want to talk over any of the voices that actually come out in the game. So, like I was saying, certain things that are like within this, the way the character is, how close the screen is to the character. A lot of people may not really be used to that. In certain games, like Resident Evil 4 was a good aspect of that game because that was one of the greatest features within that game, because it kind of made you more immersed with the character, and the fact that you couldn't really see anything around you as much, so you really have to be battle. The screen is very close to the character, only because they want you to feel that more dramatic effect when pertaining yourself with this character, whether in the battle scenes or walking around in the world like this. They just want you to really feel more close to the main character. And it adds for a very good visual effect. And when I start to get into the battle scenes, you'll really see that I have to really be careful of my surroundings because I don't want anything, I don't want to get injured, I don't want to get hurt, or anything like that. So, you really gotta be...
I guess it's the same with heights. You can stand on the edge, pretend it's going to be okay. But you know that death is near, waiting for you to make that little slip. You can't just wish things away.
So, kind of in a way, they've created a very small perimeter for you to just sort of be more involved in what you're doing in the game, and your surrounding area is very, very limited, which it adds for a very dramatic effect towards the game, in making the game a little bit more surreal and really fun to play. Because that's the thing, you don't know what is behind you. You don't know what is around you because of how close you are towards the character. And within this, with the way the game is designed, it's what they want. They want you to be very similar to the character, to understand what she goes through, to see what she goes through. Even when listening to the voices, what they deal with when they're trying to break you down, give you advice, and help you at the same time. So within that, they just want you to really get a good generalized understanding of the character that you're portraying. And that's another thing that I find within games. There's no dynamic to the characters. It's just very bland. You just be that character and that's it. But for games like this, when they're done so well, it just adds that finesse towards the game. That's really awesome.
Stay back. Look at it. You have to open it.
The gate to Helheim divides the living from the dead. Is that the face of Hela herself? The half-rotten goddess that rules over Helheim. Whatever horrors lie behind that door, she must find it. Shh. Someone's here.
You did this.
A vision of what's to come. Poor Senua. The darkness does not bargain. It does not reason. It is rot. And now it has taken hold. It will spread towards her head, the seat of the soul, until there is nothing left of her. All of her suffering will have been for nothing. It's just a matter of time. The hardest battles are fought in the mind. That is what Dillian taught her. With every defeat, the dark rot will grow and soon it will take her soul. But for now, at least, she still has control of her mind. And she will fulfill her vow. Whatever the cost.
He's not right.
Listen to me, Senua. The goddess Hela lies behind the gate to Helheim. To open the gate, you must first face the gods that guard it. The god of fire, Surt, and the god of illusion, Van Raven. Spill their blood to open the gate to Helheim and enter the land of the dead.
It won't open.
How will she get through?
Why won't it open?
Why can't she? She needs to challenge the gods.
She has to fight two gods first.
Two gods?
Two gates.
Which will she choose first?
One of them will kill her, I know.
She's going to die.
Which one will she challenge
Be
first?
very careful, Senua.
Choose a gate, Senua.
Two gates, two gods.
She's too scared.
Which one?
Alright, so with that, it portrays the dark rot, which is that on my hand, which is slowly killing my character. Now, if they actually portrayed what they had stated, that if you fail and if you die and all that within this game, made this game more intense, more extreme for any type of gamer that would play this type of game. Even though it adds it already, that one added level of difficulty where survival is key, where you have to survive, and it just draws you in so much more towards the character, even though it does that already. But knowing that everything will be lost with what you've done, it just adds so much more. And if they kept that, it would have been great. But the only thing is that once it does reaches your head, yeah, you die, but you just go back to where your save point is. And I think that was a little bit of a letdown within this game. But at the same time, they don't want to make it too hard for the gamer. Even though it is hard enough, as you will see as I progress, you'll see how hard it is. But at the same time, they want you to still enjoy the game, which is, you know, I can appreciate that. But as somebody that's really drawn to being on that same level as my game character, I want to have that type of challenge. To me, I find that to be extremely challenging, and it just makes for more of a better game, because it makes me want to try at it even more and more until I actually complete it. But other than that, the game is absolutely fantastic. That's the only drawback, is that they didn't even include it. I mean, if they included it in hard mode, then that would make sense. Rather just being normal, easy, or even story mode. Because that would provide more of a challenge. Or even if they put like a nightmare mode on this, just to up the difficulty, up the enemies, and just make it more crazy, because let's be honest, that's what you're kind of going for. You want things to be crazy, because this is what that game provides and what it produces. So, alright, I have two doors in front of me. That one goes to Soot, and that one goes to Valravan. I like fighting Soot first, because Valravan's really a really cool boss to fight. So I like to save him for last. So I'll face Soot.
Soot, the fire giant, has answered. He comes from a land older than mankind, and the Northmen call upon his flaming sword to raze their enemies to the ground. Find him, Senua, and spill his blood.
She found the wretched old fool on her way back from the wilds. An outcast, was badly burnt all over. She took pity on him, for he was not long for this world. Like her, who spoke of his own darkness, the Northmen.
Senua, we each walk these lands gazing towards different horizons, some of us further than others. Your father cannot see what you see, but there is nothing wrong with seeing the world the way you do.
And another thing too that I like that they did really nice in this game, as you can see right here, everything was beautiful. The background, the landscape, and certain areas that you come into, you'll just see like it completely change. It will just shift from something so beautiful to something so dark and destructive and scary, I guess you could say. But everything that you see here everything that you witness, things that are beautiful, things that are, you know, very scary looking, terrible, it portrays to the character that you're playing. And as a gamer, you're trying to figure out, okay, why is she hearing these voices? Why is she seeing things like this? Why is she seeing runes and glyphs and, you know, faces in the waterfall? And who is that person? How does she know me? A lot of questions. And it adds really great towards the story, I find. And as you, like I said, as you progress, you'll start to begin to understand what all of those things mean and why they're happening. And also too, as you see through the battle that I just had in the beginning, you saw how close I was to the character, and seeing an enemy come at me, I don't know if there's anything behind me. And the more I play this and the more I advance, you'll begin to see what that's like and how much more added thrill and excitement it kind of adds towards the gameplay, which is also quite different from many other games.
Human flesh. And I still hear her cries carried in the wind. You hear them too, Sinners?
Yes, I heard their screams, and I still hear them now.
Alright, so these things here are runes, and I have to find them within this area. And the way that you know that you're getting close to one of them, or any of them, is you'll see little icons like that floating around. And like seeing things like that, that's like really quite, you know, it's quite genius to include something like that to match with that in a game.
The path to Hellheim is sealed to the living, but you already walk amongst the dead. Look towards the gate, and you will see that it has opened. When they first came to my lands, I knew enough of their tongue to beg for mercy, and they took me as a slave. I wish now that they had slaughtered me like the others. I rode their storm of fire, death, slavery to many lives.
This darkness you speak of?
I know it well.
And I'm still here to fight it.
Now, fighting like that gives it a very intense feeling towards battle, which is very cool.
When you see a fire gate of soot, know that only a sacrifice will stoke the fires of Muspel and let the dead walk through. Find the fire, Cinema, to follow the path to soot.
Find another way. Truth and salt. Find your own path. There's always another way.
There's always a way.
Find your own way.
You just have to find it.
Is waiting for you. It was the gate. She needs to find it. Another fire sacrifice.
Find the fire, Cinema, to follow the path to soot.
It's too far.
She'll never find it. She'll never make her way back.
She needs to remember the way back.
What happens when she finds it?
Everything will burn.
Concentrate on where you're going. She needs to remember the path.
Everything will burn, then how will she find the way back?
She won't. She won't be able to tell.
Alright, so just to give you an example of what these lore stones are.
The Northmen believe that the world will be destroyed someday. They call it Ragnarok, the destiny of the gods. Asgard will be attacked by Surt and the fire giants. A monstrous wolf will swallow the sun, and the gods will fight in vain against their enemies. There is nothing they can do to prevent it, but Odin ever seeks knowledge and magic, hoping to find a way to postpone that dark day.
So basically all those is just, depending on what area you're in within the game, just sort of gives you a bit of a backstory towards some of the bosses and characters within this area.
The Northmen made fire sacrifices, burning slaves like me to reveal the path to Surt. I searched for meaning in their suffering, in their eyes, but they just screamed like helpless pigs. Answer your prayers, Senua. I asked the gods for mercy, all of them, even theirs. None answered. In the end, I set myself free. Defy the gods, Senua! Find your own path, like I find mine!
My gods abandoned me! I am alone.
Northmen of Hell worship the Devourers, insatiable gods of darkness. I come from Erin, Senua, where I once followed my own gods, the Tuatha De Danann.
Why did you abandon your gods?
Senua, I was a man of knowledge, not a warrior. To survive, I did things. Bad things. Like you, Senua. The man I once was has died. And when that happens, even gods you worship can die with you.
Let it collapse, and have the courage to shed your tears. Raise your world! Cry!
My brother is dead.
Only then, as with a newborn, will you see the world anew.
No, I see nothing now. Tell me truth. How did you escape your darkness?
Once I found my purpose, I was no longer enslaved. the suffering I had to endure to reach it. Unclouded by fear, I could see it clearly in others. Even my captors feared the fire of Surt. And so, during one raid, I took my chance and ran, knowing that they would not follow. A fool ran into the fire. They left me for dead. Maybe they were right to. But here I am. Free.
I'm glad I found you in the wilds. I wouldn't have made it without you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. This darkness takes everything. Everyone.
Senua, are you sure you want to do this? We can fight this together, side by side. We always do.
This is my battle. I have to face it alone, away from you.
Where will you go?
I don't know.
For how long?
I don't know.
I believe in you. You know that. Just promise me that you will come back to me. I want you to say it. I want you to say it.
come back to you. I promise.
Come on.
Spill the blood of Sir. Take his mark, and I will cheer you from the afterworld, and forever be your dead.
You destroyed everything, everyone, but not me. Fight now!
Every battle won, a greater battle takes its place. But so it goes, until we fall. And in the end, we all fall. Even the gods have their time. Yet we still go on. Why?
I made a promise, and I will go to hell to keep it.
I die free, knowing you will carry my stories with you. I have fulfilled my quest.
Yes, you have.
When darkness comes, I vow to guide you in this life and the next to fulfill yours.
Then I will see you in hell.
Be ready to face horror in the eye, as I have, to find your answers, your quest, your truth.
Truth was a troubled man. The scholar turned slave. They tortured him. Took him with them on their raids. Drove him to madness. Spreading this new form of darkness to new worlds. my world. Senua saw a deep connection form between the Northmen and the darkness. His tales of hell were true. Then that was the source of it. She learned everything she could from him, until she too could see what he saw. Have you ever died before? It's a serious question. When the illusion of self is shattered, you simply cease to be. Though it may not seem that way to others, you know when it is true. You can feel it. A stranger in your own body. An imposter. And nothing is the same ever again. Senua has died before, and she will do so again. You can be sure of that.
She's only
What's the other test? Is there another one?
There must be the gate won't open.
Druth said Valravan. Valravan. Dark magic.
Valravan, ancestor of the seers and master of ravens. He hunts his prey with his powers of illusion and feasts on their remains. Follow the path to Valravan and defeat him in battle to earn his mark. The gate to Helheim cannot be opened without it. Illusion hides the path to Valravan. Don't trust your eyes. Find another way to see the truth.
It's a door. Push it. Push it. Push it. She didn't.
It's funny. We all want to see behind the veil, don't we? Once we do, we mostly just close our eyes again and pretend what we saw was never really there. Celia never could close her eyes, however hard she tried. Begged. This is the price she pays for seeing things differently. Because once you gaze into the relentless darkness, all that lurks within it can see you too.
You're close.
The Northman will not stop her. She will find what she's looking for.
I'm gonna try my best to make sure that every battle is very, very exciting to see.
Valravan's power of illusion comes from ravens. Align the ravens to break his magic seal.
Show me what you have seen, Truth.
Look how much it's changed.
Into another world that looks the same but feels different. An impossible world where the forest itself is watching. Another gate.
Another gate. You know what to do. Stay back. To open it. It's not safe to
break the seal, align the ravens with the mark of Valravan.
Which ravens? Can't you see options? Ravens. Shh.
Mother, I hear something. Silence me.
If he hears, follow it, and it will lead you to him. But be aware
Only the first time. Last winter, before the tragedy, she journeyed into the wilds of her native land, living off berries, roots, and rabbits. It's not uncommon, you see. We call such a person a gallant. Some like truth become gallant in search of pain. Others, like Senna, devour chocolates. Those who make it back are forever changed.
She can get up now. What's happening? She can get up now. How can she get out? Must be magic. Dark magic. A trick. Raven. Tricking her. Raven. How can she get out? Bait. It's him. Dark magic draws her closer. It's not. He's helping her. It's not him. It's a trick. She's doing it on her own. He's not tricking her. It's magic. It's an illusion here. We picture fear, and we think of a shadow in the woods, a creature in the night. If only it were that simple. The worst kind comes without warning, a deep and primal signal from within. A reminder that just because you cannot see the threat, it doesn't mean that it's not already here.
No!
Do you know what it's like to leave everything behind? Your home, loved ones, to head deep into the wilds, perhaps never to return. Senua does. Because when darkness speaks, it changes everything, turning home into a foreign land and loved ones into strangers. Exile makes sense when you realize that you were never really home in the first place.
The song. Valravan's song. It's over here. It's over here.
Is that? It's over there. No, it's here. There's two.
Listen, focus. Listen.
It's my fault. It's not. It's my mission.
This reminds her of some. The forest.
Where? Which forest? Comes from the wilds.
The wilds.
She left the wilds. She went to the wilds a long time ago. Why did she go to the wilds?
She wanted to fight her own darkness. She thought she could beat her own darkness.
Did she beat her darkness?
No. It nearly killed her, but she tried.
Druth helped her.
If it wasn't for Druth, she'd be dead.
She can't beat her own darkness. She wanted to marry Dillian. She wanted to beat her own darkness and marry Dillian. But
There
she
is no
didn't.
such thing as
She
victory.
thought her curse
to the
had
darkness.
She thought the curse was for him.
Want to kill her.
She thought she brought the darkness to him too.
Or lowered her.
She nearly died.
She
Biding its time.
Only when she is at her weakest will it strike to kill. Will she find Dillian before her time comes?
Overcome Valravan's final illusion to face him in his keep. I know you can do it, Senua. You have the sight.
We both see the darkness. We can fight it together. Speak to me, Druth. Tell me a story.
Senua, Listen, I will tell you the tale of a man called Findan. The Northmen captured Findan's sister, and his father sent him to pay for her release. But they took his gold, put him in chains, and held him for a day and a night without food or water. Then they released him. I don't know why. Upon his return, his father's enemies in Erin set fire to his home. His father burnt to death, and his brother was killed. But he escaped with sorrow in his heart. His father's enemies offered redress for his loss and invited him to a feast. It was at a hall near the sea. But when he went there, they betrayed him to the Northmen, who enslaved him and took him to hell. 6 years later, his slave masters landed on the shores of Orkney, burning all before them. And into that fire, Findan made his escape. What was Findan burnt away that day. But from the flames, a new man stepped forward, and Druth was born. Druth, the man that I am now. And though Findan never set eyes on his dear sister again, I, Druth, have found you, Senua.
I wish you could have seen my home before these dark times.
The gate is open. Open.
This darkness. I know it from the wilds. It's coming back for me.
I'm still here. Are you too? Where are we? I remember. It didn't end well in the wilds. It never does. You think you can overcome the darkness, make sense of it, and once relief settles in, strikes back now, throwing you helplessly back into the maelstrom. Drowning the mind in fear, deeper, deeper, dragging you down so far into the void that maybe this time there is no coming back. But there, in the darkness, she remembered what he told her.
Hear me. Reach out to me. Senua, take my iron mirror. Look into it, for it is a window into the underworld. Within, you will see the face of the darkness that you fear. And if you focus, like I have taught you to, you will also see that as much as the darkness has you trapped within its veil, it too is trapped within yours. Focus. Focus! Focus!
I see you now. You led me to the wilds. You trapped me there.
Go. Where's he gone?
now. This is nearly the end. They're overwhelmed. She's going to lose. What?
It's nearly over. Focus, focus. Focus now. Now, focus. Focus.
You can do this. You're
But not this time!
The Mark of Valravn, one of the keys to the gate to Helheim. Hold it in your mind's eye.
With every battle, the darkness grows stronger. Every victory bringing her closer to defeat. Unfair, isn't it? In those dark winter nights in the wilds, there were times when she considered letting go. If it weren't for truth, a chance encounter in the wilds. she would not have heard his stories of the Northmen. And she would not have this chance to find Dillion's soul.
I'm coming. I still hear
When she was younger, she would lay in the grass and stare at the clouds. And there she saw them. Elusive. Shifting faces. After a while, she could see the faces everywhere. In the trees. The mountains. Caves. I wonder, can you see the faces too? They're there, if you look for them.
Mother.
Senua, you have the sight. Just like I do. Once you can see into the underworld. The underworld and all the souls within it will see you. Don't be afraid when they speak to you. I will always be here to guide you.
Did you see her? That was her mother, Galena. She was a priestess, a healer. She taught Senua to see the weaves that binds the world together. And it was beautiful. It was a time before the darkness. But when it did come, it first came for her mother. Senua still sees her face from time to time, hidden in the world. Like she's still watching over her. She misses her so much.
With the Mark of Valravan and the Mark of Surt, you may cross the bridge over the River of Knives to Helheim.
Why is she waiting? Open the gate. Open the gate. No, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. Don't open the gate. Don't. She's done it. It's so dark. It's dark. The dark. Only the dead may cross. Only the dead may cross. Only the dead may cross.
Truth? Anyone?
There is no one here but me.
Not you.
Did you think that I would let you go? That you lost me back in the wilds? I will never let you go. You can't get rid of me. I am your shadow. And I will be watching when you draw your last dying gasp.
I'm not ready to die.
You will be when you see what they did to your dear beloved. searched for control. A way to pull through. When you were in love, you left him in tears. To smother your furies and banish your fears. But in darkness they came. Through stormy black seas they raided these shores. Do you still hear his screams? And now that you're home, he's so far away. They've taken his soul. To these gods you cannot pray. They can break you, but not your promise. Even death won't keep you apart. Through his darkness you will find him. In your sword still beats a heart. You fought for love unspoiled by your darkness within. You fought for your dreams. Now there's no way to win. In the head of his corpse lies the seat of his soul. So you must carry his vessel to bring him back home.
No!
They can break you, but not your promise. Even death won't keep you apart. Through this darkness you will find him. In your sword still beats a heart. The darkness touched you. Everyone could see it in the hollows of your eyes. A gaze averted from life. You ran from it but brought it nearer. Led it to him. An endless suffering worse than death. And you wanted to surrender. Abandon and to find peace with the gods. No. The darkness won't allow it. So you will walk into the lair of the beast. Look it in the eye, and you will go to war. This is your mission. This is your quest. There is nothing else left. The gods made you a warrior for a reason. It's your calling. When there is a new road ahead, the only one that makes any sense. Just
You're close.
Every gate you open into darkness brings another challenge.
It's not over. He can read it.
The journey to Helheim is never a straight one. Each must find their own path. Align yourself to its secrets. You will find yours.
It's coming. That song again.
Is it?
It's Hela.
Yes, the source of the darkness. It's coming. This is your moment.
I'm sorry. I couldn't watch this.
What are you doing? You're showing weakness. You're not a warrior. You're a disgrace. The gods will punish you for this. Pick up the sword. Pick it up. Fight the darkness. Fight it. Get up. Get up. Get up and fight.
Stormy seas and lost souls. She's dreamt of this before. They say dreams are visions of our memories, thoughts and fears, as seen by our inner eye. But what if each one of us is always dreaming, even when awake, and we only see what our inner eye creates for us? Is this what hell is? A world shaped by Senua's nightmares. Maybe that's why people feared seeing the world through her eyes. Because if you believe that Senua's reality is twisted, you must accept that yours might be too.
You failed the gods. You're pathetic. Rotten. Cursed. What were you thinking? Did you really think you could win? How stupid can you be? Everyone hates her. She's cursed.
The shadow hates.
Look at you. A warrior. Worthless. Weak. Pathetic. Go on. Feel sorry for yourself, because there's no one left to do that for you.
What's that?
Take it. If you're too much of a coward to fight, then end the suffering. Broken and lost. Just like your soul.
Come on.
Why go on when you give everything and face that which torments you, only to find that it is worse than you could have imagined? Why go on? Is it really so weak to ask this? Or are we just so afraid of the honest answer that we do not dare pose the question? Sometimes the answer lies in a memory, a feeling, a song.
It's not real. It's true. Listen to it.
Don't give up.
Did it?
Not like this.
It's not real. It's real. It's a trick. Don't trust it. Maybe you're already dead.
Who are you?
You still believe in yourself?
No, it's not. It's a trick French uses. It's a trick. He's already dead. He can't be here. It's impossible.
Come to me. Please.
The light. Go towards the light. It's him. He is. It can't be him. It's just a trick. It's in your mind. No, he's here. It's in your mind. It's real. It's happening. Go towards it.
It's not slow. How could you keep going? How could you keep going? Ignore the pain. I told you it was he tricked you. We told you. Where are you going? See, there's nothing to follow. Come on. Before she first met him, she was not in a good place. Just a teenager, but not like the others. Barely functioning, she rarely left the house. Her father's in-bow made sure of that. Only occasionally did she venture out on her own, collecting firewood and herbs. Errands out on the Orkney Plains. That was her world. Like this one. Barren and lonely.
It's already dissipated. Nothing lives here, not even you. It's in your mind. You think you can see it, but it's in yours.
There he was. The lone figure of a boy. Small play under the shade of a tree. She remembers the first time she saw him. To her young eyes, he moved as if dancing. And the world danced with him. The gloom lifted. For the first time in years, she felt a ray of hope. Day after day, watching from afar, she mimicked him, perfecting her own secret dance, wishing those fleeting moments of light would stretch out to last forever.
It's a trick. It's not real. Don't you? You want to believe it's real. It's a trick. Where are you going? Where is she going? What is she following? You can't even fight. It's just deception.
How does he so effortlessly court the world and bliss? If only she could do the same. See the world through eyes anew. And dance with it. Just like he does.
What's your name?
Senua.
I haven't seen you before.
I don't leave home much.
Oh, Zeno's daughter.
I have to go.
Wait. Who taught you to fight like that?
No one.
No one?
Well, I watched you, and...
You learnt all of that from watching me? You should become a warrior, you know.
Me?
I'm Dillian. I'm here for the warrior trials. Just come and watch. And bring your sword.
You can't put it into words. That moment when you look into the eyes of the one who's supposed to reassure you, make you feel safe. It only takes an instant. Fear swallows you before you have a chance to make sense of it. And darkness becomes a part of who you are. But her world changed the day the Northmen took him from her. Senua knows that there's no going back to how things were. That there's nothing to go back to at all.
Stay still, stay quiet, hide, don't tell her.
Their gods can see into your mind. They will use this power to destroy you.
They won't stop me. I can still feel him.
Whatever's left of him, they will never let him go.
I'm not gonna let him rot here.
You're the one rotting here.
Leave me alone.
You will die here.
No.
And all your suffering will have been for nothing.
Shut up! Dillian? Is that you? I'll find you. I promise.
Can you see him? You want to believe it. Is he not real? Is he real? You're alone in these mountains. Is that Dillian? Nothing lives here. You won't survive. You met him by the tree. She met him by the tree. Maybe it's a sign, the tree. What's he trying to tell you? He's waiting for you by the tree. Take his sword. A sword. Take it. Dillian left it for you. Take it. Take it. Take it. It's a tree. It's a tree. It's coming from there. And there. What are they? Look. Where's it coming from? She started something.
What's happening?
Senua, imagine a sword that can slay gods. Its name is Grammar. It was forged by the god of all Northmen, Odin, and gifted to Sigmund, a great warrior.
I need this sword. It's important. Can you help me?
The sword appears whole, but it is an illusion. It shattered into shards long ago. It is said a great warrior can reforge Grammar by answering the trials of Odin, one for each shard. The roots of the Tree of Death will take you to new lands where you will face the trials.
Find it. There it is. Focus. 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 Use your eyes. Look. Get closer. Can you see?
A king in the north forced the dwarves to make a sword that would never fail and never rust, and that would slice through iron and stone and bring victory to its bearer. But the angry dwarves cursed it. It would be the death of a man every time it was drawn, and it would be the death of the king. Let me tell you about the sword Tyrving.
Where are we now? Burial mound. So strange that we go to such lengths to bury death. Something so very ordinary, inevitable. It's as if we conspire to hide death, because we have no answer for it. But when it comes, and forces itself onto our friends or loved ones, then comes the reckoning.
Take the torch. It's too dark. Take it. This will help you. Careful. You have to be able to see.
Who's there? Dillian, I'm here. I'm here for the trials. Like when we first met, remember?
There he is. Dillian, there he is. Finally, you found him.
What's wrong? What happened? Can you hear me? Just wait there. I'll find you.
This is your mission. Find him. You have to use everything you have and find him. Get him back. He was just there. How could you lose him? How could you lose him? How could you? Find him.
I'll find him.
What's that? Did you hear that? Nothing. Was that voices?
Don't touch the horse.
You don't know what they might do.
Turn back.
She has to keep going.
It's not safe here.
She has to keep going.
If you go down there, no one can save you.
It's too scary. Find another way. It's not working. You have to use your mind. Where can you go? You're failing. Find another way. Think. Focus.
I can hear him.
Think clearly. You have to find another way. There has to be.
The voice is getting louder.
Listen, Dillian. Listen. It's him. Listen. It's getting louder. There he is. Keep going.
Follow the voice.
You're nearly there. It's him. He's going to save you.
Find the voice.
Find him. It's not him.
It's not him.
We told you. We told you it was a trick.
That voice doesn't sound like Dillian.
What's happening?
Quiet.
It's not him.
He wants me to find him. I'm lost without him.
It's not Dillian.
That doesn't sound like Dillian.
It sounds like something dangerous.
That voice. It's not Dillian. Dillian wants me to face my fears.
I'm leaving. I've decided. I think it will be good for me.
It's the darkness. It's speaking through
No,
you.
Dad, it's me. I think I can beat it. In my own way.
I can see the darkness in your eyes, child.
I met a boy.
Boy?
The chieftain's son.
No.
He said he could help me.
It's a trick.
He said I could be normal.
Normal?
Yes.
No boy is going to save you. No one can. When they see the rot growing inside you,
No.
they will turn their back on you. The gods can only fix you through my hand. You're going nowhere.
No.
You will not defy the gods. Come, child, take my hand. Come. Senua.
I am leaving.
You cannot escape the darkness. Your curse will make everyone suffer. You will have blood on your hands!
It's done. You did it, but there's more. There's more. You're tired, but you have to keep going. There's still more. There's always more to do. It's not going to be easy. Can you do another one? It's too much. Have you got the energy? She hasn't got the energy. No. Too much to do.
I saw once a plague strike northern lands of ice. It was so terrible that not the oldest man among us could remember the like. Hundreds died. The sickness took nearly every person younger than 40, and many older. And where dying mothers gave birth, the marks of the plague were on the babes as they came out of the womb.
Where are we? I don't like it. This place feels...
What is this place?
It's creepy. It feels wrong. It feels strange. Where is it? Where are we? There he is. There he is. The light. Go towards it. He's in the house. Find him. Don't let him disappear. He's going in. He's disappearing. Follow him. Don't let him disappear.
It's a test. Like the old warrior trials. Dillian will help me. The stench of rot. She must taste it. Do you smell it? No. Don't worry. Not everyone can. So one spring day when she went to the river with Dillian and the others. For the water. She could taste the rot. But no one else could. She knew something was wrong. Something sinister. She begged them to leave, but they just laughed at her. But soon enough, as the bodies piled up, no one was laughing. And they knew that she was not like them.
Get to the house. Get to the house and finish this trial. It doesn't finish until you get to the house. Before he disappears, Senua. You have to get in. But that's it. You did it. it. Just a small piece of
You found a way.
to climb the tower.
The ladder.
Quick. What now? You can see it.
A line to the truth.
The bridge. She did it. She fixed it.
Senua! Come to me! Where are you?
I'm here! I'm right here!
Are you in there?
You have to find him.
Come out to Greenrock.
Focus.
Runes.
Dillian! They're coming for me!
What's that voice? You can hear Dillian. It's Dillian. Go to him. Go to him. He's trying to save you.
There it is. Huh? It's close. It's close. Move away.
It is.
Go towards it.
Run.
Focus.
Find it.
Run.
Run now. Stand back, Senua. Don't get
What shall I do?
There's Dillian. This is taking too long.
Can you hear him? To find him. The light. Go towards it. And find one more.
Find the other symbol. We're lost.
Yeah.
Where's Dillian?
Where is he?
You've got them.
Where's the door?
Find a way out.
Find him again. Get out. Run.
Run.
Don't let him look at you.
Don't let it see you. It's coming. Move away. You're lost again.
Senua! Senua! What happened?
They're blaming me for the plague. They say that I'm cursed. What if they're right?
How would they know such a thing? Are they gods? None of us are. They're just people. Good people, but they're scared. They're afraid of what they can't see. Like children scared of the dark. They make up stories to fill the void. It doesn't make them true.
What if my father was right?
You have to step out of this darkness. Let them see who you really are, like I have. You're not a monster.
Without you, this darkness has made me a monster.
What if this is pointless? What if you're wrong? What if this has nothing to do with the sword? What if we're wrong? The sword will never be yours. What if this is the end?
It's just a trick.
Just a pointless test. You've been fooled before. You could be fooled again.
I want to tell you a story about a god of the Northmen called Balder. The second son of Odin. He was beautiful, good and wise. He was fair of feature, he spoke fair words, he gave fair judgments. Light shone from him. Only good things were told of him. Yet he was the first of the gods to die.
Where are we? What is this? It's the same. It's another world. The bridge. It's not broken. It's fixed. What? The bridge is fixed. Let's cross it. Dillion is in there. Don't forget. You can feel it. You need the runes to fight Dillion. You need Dillion. He's waiting for you. He said he's close. He cares about you. He's close. He loves you. Calling you. Dillion. 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 I'm nearly here. Go through it. It's dangerous. Follow it. What's behind the gate? Where will it take you? It's not safe. Dillion. There he is. What are you waiting for? Quick, find a way. Where is he? Where's he gone? We're in the wrong world. He's not here. She's in the wrong world. He's not in this world. He's in the other one. He's in the other one. He's in the dark world. The dark. The dark.
The world once seemed so simple. Black and white. Darkness and light. Narrow dividing lines of our own making. Dillion taught her to see further. To peek through the cracks and see the worlds of colour stretching away from the globe. And Senna explored new paths into the unknown. Your love because he believed in you. There he is. Where are you taking me? He's up there. How do you get up there? There's a way. There is a way up there. She can do this. Nearly there. She'll find the way.
years had passed since she left her father. She trained hard alongside her friend, Dillian. She saw things no one else could. Patterns, shapes, movement. An intuition that made her an exceptional warrior. Friendship turned to love. But the shadow of darkness never let her go. Nothing. She was caught between two worlds. Part of Zinbel and her past. And Dillian. Her future.
What if the gods are laughing?
Two realities tearing at her soul.
Dillian undoes the curse. What does it feel like to feel a love so strong?
Do you remember what love feels like? He led you astray.
You should have listened to your father when you had the chance.
Why didn't you listen to him?
His love has tortured you, and it tortures them.
Wasting your time. No time for it to speed up.
Darkness within you. Trials to distract you.
They've set you up, and now they're going to watch you. What if these trials mean nothing? Laughing at you.
Closer to Dillian.
Letting us get in the way.
They are just to tire you out, to make you weak before the battle. Dillian didn't believe in the curse. Dillian believed in you. What if this is pointless?
What are you doing? Why did you think you could make this late?
You see runes. You see runes everywhere.
Everywhere. What if they're not real? What if they don't actually make sense?
Gods were lying. You think it makes sense, but really the gods are playing with you.
It makes sense in your mind, but it doesn't make sense.
Words. The gods are bullshit, but it doesn't mean anything.
You can't read this language, you don't understand.
Zinbel.
You're wasting time.
You're cursed. You succeed. So, quicker.
Very, very careful.
Dillian never much cared for the underworld, and looked dimly upon the druids, like her father, Zinbel. I guess he took after his father, a chieftain who believed nothing he couldn't see, and he happened to be blind. She felt safe in Dillian's arms, and to see the world through his eyes. Slowly, the darkness that had bound her so tightly began to unravel.
Go to him. Go to him.
That's it.
Quicker. Quicker.
It's your fault. He's disappeared. You've lost him to the sea. He's gone. You've lost him to him. He's come to the mountain. He's drowned.
Senua, your father cannot understand your darkness. He cannot see through your eyes. No one can. My own father was born blind. Doesn't have the faintest idea of what the night looks like. The word dark to him means as little as the word light. So someone is afraid of the dark. Should we fix them by taking away their sight? Would you give up the beautiful world that you, and only you, can see just to be rid of your nightmares? Or is this the price you pay for the gift you have? A gift that makes you so special in my eyes. Just another part of the person I love.
I left for the wilds to protect you from my darkness. Because I love you. But it made it worse. I'm so sorry.
Killing you would be too easy.
They're taking your memories to torture you.
They're taking you from the inside.
You're disappearing one memory at a time. Every time you remember, it disappears.
They're going to take everything.
They're not yours anymore.
We're going to take everything you have.
The memories of ghosts.
They belong to the gods, not to you.
They're eating you from the inside. They want to kill yours.
They want to crush it.
The Northmen say that their Allfather, Odin, gave his eye in exchange for a drink from Mimir's well, the Well of Wisdom. In blindness, there can be wisdom. Only by giving can you receive in return. For this reason, I give my life and pass on my stories of the Northmen to you, Senua.
Where am I can't see. Who's there?
Can you hear me? I'm right here. Can't you see me?
Help me.
Breathe slow.
It's the darkness.
Stay still. Empty your thoughts. Tell me what you feel.
The breeze.
Good. Then there is a way out.
I can't tell where it comes from.
Yes,
The
you
others.
can.
The voices. They've gone.
I'm still here.
It's so quiet. So dark.
It's okay. Listen to your own breath. Feel it rise and fall. Good. Be aware of everything you hear and feel. Let your senses guide you.
I can't go on. Lillian?
Find a way. I'm not leaving you here.
I think I'm somewhere else now. The breeze has gone.
Use all of your senses. Let the world speak to you. What do you hear?
I feel water.
Go to it.
I've reached the water.
Good. That's your way out. Follow it upstream.
I'm so sorry. I thought I left this all behind.
Don't be sorry. It's not your fault.
He was right. It's inside of me. It won't let me go.
Senua, my father, He taught me that the hardest battles are fought in the mind, not the sword. I'm no coward. Prove that to me in the warrior trials. This is just another battle. You can beat it.
This isn't your battle. You don't have to help me.
I want to. Besides, you are going to be a great warrior one day. You need
I'll do my best. I know what you're thinking. He's not really here. Seems there's no escaping the past in this place. So she's forced to relive it. To what end? There is a house. I don't know what's inside.
Don't be afraid.
There's something in here.
Do you see it?
No.
Then it cannot see you. Quietly move past it, one step at a time.
It's not following me.
Leave it behind. Keep moving forwards.
There's more of them. I think they're moving.
You're breathing too fast.
I'm scared.
This is the sound of your breaths. In and out. In and out. It will pass. You can do this anywhere.
I think I'm in a house. It stinks of death.
The darkness is testing you. You are in control.
There's a well.
Don't turn back. We're getting close.
Dillion. Help me.
Come to me, son.
Is that you?
She could spend hours, days even, trapped within herself, in the dark.
You see?
Yes.
Your eyes were open, but you were gone.
And when it finally let her go, she could be anywhere, with no memory of how she got there.
When it comes for me, I have no power over it.
But here, for the first time, someone was there to help.
But I heard your voice. You brought me back.
You found your own way back. All you needed was a little help. A little hope.
The warrior trials.
Go get the sword. You have to get the sword.
With grammar reforged, you will have Odin's blessing to walk, a goddess, into the halls of Helheim and challenge Hela as an equal.
So Dillion was helping me. And the sword will lead me to him. Like when we first met.
Dillion gave her the strength to pass the warrior trials, and she saw a way out. To leave her past behind, and become a warrior in Dillion's clan.
The sword is tainted by the gods of darkness. Leave it.
No. He left it here. He wants me to take it.
You will pay a price for this.
But years later, with Zimbal's parting words still haunting her, the darkness came back with a vengeance. Plague.
Dillion?
Everyone suffered.
My father was not supposed to die like this.
Do you see it clearly now, Senua? The suffering you've caused.
This is your fault. You brought this plague to us. You have blood on your hands.
They're coming for you now.
They're coming.
They're coming to get you.
Hold it! Hold it! Unleash the sword.
The main fortress is building.
It's building.
Focus now. There's nowhere to run to.
In the sea of corpses, the corpse waved through itself over the ones I loved. The ship broke up under them. The ship that had sailed from a land of shining fields. Their memorial stone is sacred. Come not here in the sun. Come not with a sword. Come not crying over a naked corpse. Come not with disturbed mind.
She's lost. She's lost. She doesn't know where she's going to get to. Is there any escape? Is there any
Do you hear the suffering, Senua? Does your precious gift of sight let you see the souls that rot here in this sea of corpses? Do you feel the blood running cold on your skin? Do you hear their endless cries? Do you smell their putrid wounds? They were once brothers, sisters, and loved ones. And look at what you have done to them. All because you were a coward, because you ran from your curse instead of facing it. When you turned your back on the Father, Zinmo, you turned your back on the gods, and let the darkness wreak havoc on your people. Why must they pay for your heresy?
End it now. This is nearly the end.
Galena! Mother!
Do you recognize her?
It's her.
Galena is here.
It's definitely her.
She's dead.
She went to the voices. Just like you as you went to. The darkness took her life and it will take it's taking
Where are you?
Do you hear, Senua? Do you hear the voice of your mother, Galena? She calls for you, Senua. Go to her. Answer her pitiful call.
Mother! I need you! Help me!
You're both dead. You both surrendered to the voices.
Your dear beloved mother was powerless against the darkness when it came for her. She too had a sight. She too doubted the gods and let the darkness infest her. But she didn't love you. She escaped the only way she knew how. She gave her life to the gods.
If only you had done the same, the world would have been spared this horror.
It's not too late. She's calling for you. Why don't you join her?
Focus now! Focus!
Why do you still fight on? Maybe you too should suffer with your brethren in this rot and let your blood seep into the seas and the rivers of hell. Isn't that what you deserve after all you've done? Give the darkness what it wants, let it swallow your soul and destroy all that you are. Why are you fighting for someone who is already dead?
Just look around you.
What hope is there for him, even if his soul could be rescued? Do you think he'd thank you for what you have done to him, to his friends, to his father?
Darkness has taken you. Galena and Senua. Galena and Senua. You are lost. There's nothing you can do. You're dead. You're both dead. Mother and daughter dead in the sea of corpses. I can't fight it anymore. Not on my own. Where are you, Mother? I want to be with you.
That night, she gave up on her world to follow in the footsteps of her mother. To go to a place where the darkness couldn't reach her.
Senua, look at me.
Do you hear them? They're calling for me.
We've lost so many. And I've lost my father. I can't lose you.
You said it. I have blood on my hands.
I didn't say that. You've done nothing wrong.
Someone was right. Everyone will suffer.
Zimbel is a fake. He is a hateful, bitter liar. He's poison. And his words still haunt you. Who do you trust? Him? Or me? Do you still believe in me, Senua? In us? Come back to me. Please. Don't let this darkness come between us.
hardest battles are fought in the mind. He gave her the sword with which to fight in more ways than one. And she gave him her word, never to surrender. All she needed was a little help. A little hope.
Alright, I think I'll stop it right there. There's only 2 more parts until the end of the game, so I'll continue that in my next broadcast. Until then, I hope you enjoyed what you saw through the game, and I just hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as I have. Okay, so right now, I'm gonna leave the last 2 parts in my next broadcast. I'll see you then. Have a good night.